Meeting, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll have personal appeals, part one. If you have a personal appeal, please approach the podium. Seeing none, I see we have a scout here on the project. Welcome. And feel free after the meeting to ask any council member, so mayor, borough manager, or solicitor any questions you might have for your project. So, community minute. Anybody have anything to bring forward? No? Okay, hearing none. There's no special presentations. Reading of the minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes from March 19th, 2018? Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Barrett. Any questions or additions? Or hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. We received one communication from Dave Fleets from Lincoln Elementary School PTO for their annual spring festival, asking for the usual things that they ask us for that event. Staff will handle that. And we have no borough engineers report. Solicitors report.
Very briefly, in my absence, Tom Dinklacher and Shane went to the meeting with EPA and DEP. There's a confidential memo. Things went well, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Is this under communications?
Yeah, communications.
All right, so we're going to revert back to communications. We received a letter from Bill Lahachak.
Yeah, Howchick.
Lahachak. Thanks for the minutes and info. Sorry I missed the meeting. I wanted to be there to tell you all in person, but I ended up taking a last-minute trip to Florida to visit my parents. I have joined a Thursday night men's tennis league, and unfortunately that means I will no longer be attending the Board of Health meetings. I promised last year that I would stay with you guys for at least a year. I'm pretty sure that I managed to keep my word. I also promised to let you know when I would no longer be coming rather than just disappear, so this would help live up to that. I'm happy and confident that all the new people you recently managed to bring onto the board will be able to take my place more than adequately and will do a fantastic job. I'm sorry that I won't get to see you guys anymore, but I'm glad I got to meet you all. Perhaps someday our paths will cross again. Thank you for everything and good luck with the BOH, and signed Bill. So we wish him the best of luck and thank you for his service for a year. As you know, sometimes we have trouble filling that spot, so even somebody working for a year helps. So if anybody knows, do we still have a vacancy?
That would be it.
That would be it.
Yeah, that would
So if anybody knows anyone interested in being on the Board of Health, they meet monthly or quarterly?
once a month.
Once a month. So
Yep.
if anyone knows anyone interested in contributing to that, spread the word. Thank you.
Maybe.
Moving on to unfinished business, part one, we have ordinance 1171 for second reading. An ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 15, subsection 602.2.a of the Emmaus Borough Code. And it's removing a residential handicap parking sign on a public street located in front of 546 Broad Street within the Borough of Emmaus. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve second reading of ordinance 1171? Councilman Barrett, seconded by Councilman Schubsta. Any questions or discussion?
Just
Councilman
one
Andrews.
question for Shane. Is it, I know we do these almost routinely, like each meeting. Is it possible to like have like several of them and do them at once? So we
No.
don't have to, no?
No.
Okay, I was just wondering.
No. The
Problem is timing.
the problem is timing.
They don't come in at the same time.
With a case like this, what will happen is in most cases, a person will ask for a handicap parking space. So the mayor and the chief of police go out, assess it. They make the recommendation to the committee, and we pass it. So those are always sporadic. When we remove them, it's because the person either
Right.
unfortunately passed away or moved to a different facility or home. So again, they're very sporadic. I know it seems like we've gotten them like boom, boom in
It
a row,
does,
but
yeah.
if we don't remove it, like when it comes up, then that handicap spot sits in the middle of a residential neighborhood where other people could park in that spot.
Okay, very good.
So, you know, the position was when we found 5.5 years ago, we needed to adopt these every time. The position was we need to do it as soon as they come up, because we did want to do it in bulk, but the problem is
Okay.
exactly that.
And the few times, if I'm not mistaken, Shane, the few times that we did receive a couple at the same time, we do advertise them together.
yeah.
I mean, they're separate ordinances, but they're, right? They're separate ordinances,
Correct.
but advertised together.
No, we can
You can
combine them. Yeah,
okay.
we can combine them.
But it saves us on advertising if we can
That's
do
what
it.
I was just, I
Yeah.
guess, my go-around
But no, the
was.
problem is because it could be 4 or 5 months before you see another one
Right.
come up. It could be next week.
And do these just basically go into East Penn Press as far as
Yeah.
advertising?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? This is a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Schupsta?
Aye.
Councilman Anders?
Aye.
Councilman Barrett?
Aye.
Councilman,
You forgot.
I missed it. Dufresne? Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg, aye. Ordinance 1171 passes 7-0. Under new business, we have 3 ordinances to have first reading. We have ordinance 1172, an ordinance amending the Borough of Emmaus zoning ordinance, Chapter 27, subsection 403.4.d4c of the codified ordinances establishing fence height regulations for nursing homes and other types of facilities housing patients with Alzheimer's, dementia, or other memory impairments. I will turn this over to Chairman Schupsta. If you turn to your note on your second page, under action, there's a little brief description that you can scroll, and it explains why we're doing this, but I will turn it over to Chairman Schupsta.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we have a new facility that was just built up here on South 7th Street. So originally, our ordinance had 6 feet high fences, and we've just basically adopted it to be an 8-foot high fence, and it's a Department of Health standard now, and it's accepted as an 8-foot high fence.
Thank you. Anybody have any
We
questions
have
for
2
him?
facilities, right? Shane?
There are 2 facilities in town that could hypothetically
Yep.
take advantage of it. But yeah, the Pennsylvania Department of Health had verified that 8 foot is the standard across the board for places that house patients like this. So.
For their protection.
Anybody else have questions for Chairman Schupsta? All right, so this is an ordinance. We'll need a motion to approve it. Councilman Schupsta, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Questions or discussion? This is also a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Schupsta?
Aye.
Councilman Anders?
Aye.
Councilman Barrett?
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne?
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg, aye. There are 7 ayes passing ordinance 1172 for first
So
reading.
because this is a zoning ordinance change, this will take a couple months because we have to go through the comment period through the planning commissions
Okay,
and all that.
so we might see it in May or so, June.
June probably.
Well, we've got 2 45-day letters that have to go out, and have to have a hearing, and you can have that, so, yeah, 2 months minimum.
Okay, so it probably will be June, because then we only have 1 meeting in June.
Yeah, it'd be the June 12th or whatever
Okay.
whatever day that would be.
Moving on to ordinance 1173, an ordinance amending Chapter 15, subsection 405 of the codified ordinances establishing regulations for portable storage containers. This is the first reading, and once again, I'll turn it over to Chairman Schupsta. There was a description, again, under actions that you could scroll through and read.
Yes, so this came up in our meeting a few weeks ago when Mr. Farnsworth was asked to go out and look at somebody who had a pod on the street and asked them to remove it, and he came back and said, well, there's nothing in our ordinances that say anything about a pod being on the street. So we had to just basically go back into the ordinance and modify a few of the descriptions and add a definition in for a portable storage container.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. One is, how long are they allowed to keep it out there?
60 days.
That's listed in there, okay. And my second thing is, it said that eventually, in your meeting notes, I think, the memorandum, it said that when the fee schedule comes out, about adding a $50 fee schedule, I'm just wondering what that covers. Is that for him to go out to inspect it?
What the committee decided on was they would probably propose, when the second reading of the ordinance comes up, probably a $50 fee. Mr. Farnsworth felt that was consistent with other permit fees, except for a dumpster fee. It's like
Yeah,
significantly more for a dumpster fee.
Yeah, they're a lot higher.
But the $50 was consistent with the rest of our permit fees.
And a pod would be used for somebody maybe moving?
Yeah, and traditionally, people would only have a pod out there for a couple days.
Yeah.
But, the one that we had to deal with was like a couple months.
Okay.
And remember, the permit is only if it's on a public street. The ordinance says that the only time that can go on a public street is if it can't go on your private property.
Okay.
Um,
So like if it can go in the driveway, it goes in the driveway?
Right, right.
Okay. Councilman Barrett?
I'm assuming that we probably looked over other municipalities that have a similar ordinance, and was 60 days the
60
standard?
days was, 60 days is the same time period as a dumpster.
Right.
Okay, but I mean, the use is different. A dumpster is,
Yeah, the
it
feeling.
could be a whole project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
The-
think the feeling was, it's not just for people that are moving. Like it could be for storage of materials. It could even be that somebody's doing a remodeling project and has to store the stuff somewhere and it can't be inside. So it could
Like
be.
if you have your floors being redone, you have to
Right.
go somewhere with your.
Yeah, it could be in something like that. So I think the feeling was that to keep it consistent with the dumpster, because if they're storing the materials to do the construction project, in a pod or storage container, it's kind of an even, amount of time. We did model most of that ordinance off of a couple other cities.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a pod in the street in Emmaus, but
Well, like
Yeah,
we
just
just
that
said,
one.
we just,
Yeah.
we had that one incident.
Councilman Dupre?
Zone, it's the one right off of Harrison Street that you're talking
I've
about?
seen them.
Not too far from my house?
Mhm.
It's not really a pod, it's the, whatever you wanna call it. the-
Right, it's a whatever,
But
yeah.
it would be covered under?
Yes,
Okay, that's been there for quite some time,
right.
okay.
So
Nice.
once this passes, they'll have 60 days after that, correct? But they have to pay the fee also? Or not?
That gives us, I think, this would give us the power to enforce.
Including the fee when we
Yeah.
pass it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right now, it's,
Well, if he can put that in his property, he won't get a
correct.
permit.
Okay.
Yeah, That's
All right.
correct.
Anybody else? Questions? Roll call vote?
No, I don't think we have a
Oh, we
motion yet.
make a motion for ordinance 1172.
Approving
Councilman
ordinance.
Anders, seconded by Councilman Schuster. Questions or discussion yet? Councilman?
doesn't need to be done now, but obviously there'll be a second round of this. I would suggest going to a shorter time period and maybe a renewal process. I mean, I understand the similarities.
So the renewal would be as a standard permit, they come back in, reapply.
Right, I know, but I'm saying,
would
so
be
if,
another
if we,
6
if we're saying if we said 30 days, so after 30 days, they would come through the renewal process. I mean, just
Okay,
the
I
use,
understand what
how
you're
I
saying.
see them used most frequently, and I mean, they're there, but they're usually there for just a few days, and I think that would be better to control that than having it that, all right, we just have a lot of extra stuff. I mean, I understand, when you said that it could be for renovation, you'd store it there, I get that side of it. I guess anything that we can curtail
But I mean.
these
so-
types of unsightly things, the
so,
better.
Mr. Solicitor, if that's a change you want to make, we can do that tonight.
Be better to do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, but
That way-
I'd rather have that flushed out in
Well,
the
because
Because if you
conversation
vote on
about
it,
it.
then I have to advertise it the way you vote on
Yeah,
it, so.
Okay, okay.
If you wanna change it to 30 days, that's fine, let's do it now, because the purpose of your first reading is really to authorize the advertising. And you don't wanna change, that would be a
Then you don't-
substantial
Okay,
change.
okay.
Councilman Barrett, is it your intention to have them pay another $50 fee then if they're renewing the permit?
Or do we just modify it?
Well, so.
See, this is
well,
where-
well, so we don't necessarily have to figure out today.
The fee?
The fee.
But I would like to know because
Yeah.
that will, might influence my vote.
I mean, I would think, like, the way that I would maybe envision it, and if I can.
Yeah.
I would have them pay maybe, if your original is $50 for 30 days, maybe the second 30 days is 25.
That would be,
And
that was my
25 for every-
first gut reaction if as we
25 for
started
every
to
30
bring up the
after that.
things that could come out
Okay.
of changing something, yes.
Mr. Solicitor, so we have a motion and a second on an ordinance, and he would like to add this. So how do you do that with a
Well, it
motion
would-
already on the floor?
It would be a motion to amend.
Well, we're in discussion though, so I'll make a, do you want me to, if there's already two, then the two people that made it have to make
Well,
the amendment?
There's a motion on the floor
still
with a
in discussion.
second, but you can at any time make a motion to amend.
Okay.
In discussion, I can?
Yes.
Okay.
And then do they have, if it passes, do the people that made
I
the
don't think we
motion
have
and the
enough.
second have to go with that? Or do they have to
No.
make,
No,
Vaughn,
they
they-
can vote contrary to their own motion, if that's what you're asking, yes.
Okay.
Under Robert's rules, it's on the floor, it's subject to amendment at any time,
Okay.
until it's passed.
and I understand, it's like in the past, we said, okay, are you going to amend the motion? The person that made the motion and the
Yeah,
second,
they
but
make-
suppose they don't agree with this, they can say, no, I don't.
can't.
And then somebody else would have
Then
to
we
make a
take
motion.
vote. You need a motion and a second, and
Okay.
then
And
you,
another
then you
motion.
vote on the motion
Alright.
to amend.
Okay.
I understand, go ahead.
So for simplification, my motion is to reduce the time frame to 30 days, and upon renewal, it is a $25 fee instead of a $50 fee. You don't need me to go through that.
No, because you'd be
Yeah.
setting the fee schedule at final adoption.
Perfect. We'll just leave it at the 30 days as the change with the renewal option.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Just to clarify, that would be for dumpsters and for storage units?
Just for storage units, because that's what this pertains to, but I don't see why.
Well, dumpsters is included in the ordinance, so I just want
Well,
to
we would rewrite, we would,
separate them.
yeah, we'd separate it.
Right.
So then just for clarification, if we could cover both of them, I think that they both are very similar. Their uses are very different, or should be very different. But the goal of me making any change here is to prevent the unsightliness of them sitting on our streets. So,
The only thing that I would suggest with that is if you as a council do decide to change the dumpster piece too, then let's consider changing the permit fee on that dumpster, because I think they pay enough money
yeah.
for that 60 days. I think that it's a pretty good chunk of money for 60 days.
Well, we may not even get to that point, because we don't have a second yet. So somebody wanting to make a second, or is it gonna die for lack of a second?
For the 30-day, I'll second that.
There's a second for the motion of changing it to 30 days. Discussion.
So let me ask you one question then. I'm fine with the 30 days, but what happens after the end of the 30 days then?
Then they would apply to renew.
Reapply.
Again? So they can
Yes,
continually
so
renew?
30 days. Okay, you're saying we need a limitation of 60 days.
Yeah, so how does that work? Yeah, so.
To
if
60 days, yeah, they have one renewal.
One renewal, okay.
I mean, my intent was if they needed the actual time frame, which
Yeah.
we had previously as a council agreed on 60 days, they could get there, just a way to reduce that time frame.
Do some changes here.
We are way convoluted.
Well, hold on.
No, I understand.
We're in discussion. It may not even pass. Any other discussion?
Yeah, just
Councilman
so
Dufresne.
I understand the process for this part. So if I want to put it in Harrison Street, Mr. Farnsworth can say, no, it can't go on Harrison Street, it should go on my property, or like, so the
Correct.
enforcement says, no, you can put it on your property, you don't get it, okay. Just want to make sure.
Like all things.
But there's no fee if you put it on your
I just
property.
want to make sure.
And there's no fee if you put it on your
If
property.
you put it on your property, I just want to make
Right.
sure that.
Some
that
people
he
don't have
has
that
the
option.
right to say, no, it can't go on the street.
Of course, we'll end up with the ultimate question of people with pods there for life, but that's another issue down the road.
Right, that's another, right.
Start living in them.
Councilman
So
Anderson?
I just want to ensure that I am correct here. We are only talking about pods though at this moment, because there was the dumpster and everything else in between there.
Storage
What yours
containers.
is just
Pods is a
the
brand.
pod.
Portable
Okay,
storage.
Portable
yes,
storage
portable
container.
storage container.
Correct.
We're-
Correct.
Yeah, thank you for that, because that's where I'm convoluted here. So the dumpster discussion is off, like, we're
It's
not
just
changing
for
anything
now.
for the
Storage
dumpster.
containers only.
We're just
For
talking
right
about
now. Yeah.
storage, okay.
That's what I just wanted to ensure. Okay.
Councilman Dufresne?
Okay, so then the one just off of Harris Street by my house, what is that? To me, that's a dumpster, a modified dumpster.
Does
Is
it,
it-
does it have a roof on
Is
it?
it?
No, it's the like silk fence type surrounding, it's like the modified dumpster, it's not
That
a,
would be a dumpster.
That would be a dumpster.
okay, I would hope that that would be
Yeah.
included in a dumpster.
That would be a dumpster.
So
A pod-
that one can be regulated because we have.
Portable
We already
ones,
have
weather
that, right.
resistant.
Okay,
Has it been?
so
I
that's a
can't
dumpster.
answer that right
No.
now.
So that is a dumpster, you know what I'm talking about?
I would say it is.
I would say it is too, I just wanna make sure I understand what I'm voting on.
So is that the pod we were referring to?
No.
The personal storage unit to me is a enclosed unit to store personal goods in a secured manner for a short duration, usually for mostly moving purposes. I read the definition, it seems
I was gonna
pretty
say,
clear
that's,
to me.
that's what the definition pretty much says.
Yeah, it does.
Anybody else? I'm not gonna be voting for this because I think they should be able to have 60 days. I have not seen a pod in the borough my whole life on a street, so it may happen. I don't think it's an
We had
issue.
it twice.
And I think 60 days allows somebody to do whatever they have to do, and if they're done in 20 days, they're done in 20 days. And I just think it complicates everything way too much.
And 2 snowstorms. So we had
So-
to
so
have it for 60 days.
The first version of that, with the 60 days, you were.
Right, well, we have to vote on this. If it goes down, then it reverts back to the original
So,
ordinance.
so there's two motions here.
The motion right now, there's only
Is
one
to
motion,
amend
and
it.
it's a motion to amend, that's what's on the table.
I don't time out. Roy and Jeff made a motion and a second.
To
Yes.
approve
They
as
never
it
changed
was.
anything.
They didn't.
Right.
That's what
We
the
go
motion
back
to
after the
amend
motion.
is.
So now we have a separate motion and a separate second to amend their original motion.
Yeah,
We're
they
in
call it
time warp here.
subsidiary and all that stuff, but you're doing it the correct way under Robert's rules.
Yeah, no, I know. We've
So-
just never done it this way, so I think we're all.
I will be voting against it, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
I think 60 days, I don't think most people will do that.
I just need to know how to write the minutes.
So,
Poor Paula's gonna be confused.
Pay attention, Paula.
anybody else? I think it's gonna be a mixed vote, so kind of as you're doing your ayes or yeses or nos, raise your hand, please.
Well, I think you have to do a roll call all the way around, because it's an ordinance.
For
For
amendment?
both of them, yeah.
You can, why don't you just do a roll call, Mr. President, so it's simple?
A roll call on the amendment?
On the
Yes.
amendment.
On the amendment
On the
first,
amendment.
and then the original second.
We're in like a special.
This is a special
This is like a
vote.
hyperbole here, like,
Yeah.
where am I?
All right, Councilwoman McManaman,
Aye.
Councilman Schubsta,
And this is for the amendment?
Yes.
for the amendment,
No.
Councilman Anders,
No.
Councilman Barrett,
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner,
Aye.
Take it.
Councilman Laborg, no.
Okay, so the amendment
Is that
passed
4 yes?
4-2.
4-3.
4-3.
Laborg,
4-3.
no.
Jeff
Anders and Schubsta, no.
Okay, so that means.
Now we vote on, if I may,
Sure.
now you vote on the main motion, which has been amended. So it's the motion as amended is now voted on.
Okay, so
Basically, what we just voted on
Yeah.
should repeat itself.
I'm fine with that, but my question is, in the past, we haven't, if everybody agreed on an amendment, and
Yes.
they would say, I amend my motion, I
Yes.
amend my second.
Yes, you can do it.
They don't have that option now, or,
We've we're following Robert's rules right now, so
so
I
now
would-
we're just gonna take a vote on approving it?
on the amended motion,
Okay.
the amended original
So,
motion.
just so everyone understands, we have ordinance 1173, and we are voting on the ordinance with the amendment, all right?
I
If
hope
you're
this video
opposed to
works.
the amendment, then you vote no. If you're in favor of the amendment and the ordinance, then you can vote yes. Council,
I'm con-
Wait, I lost.
Yeah, I'm-
But we're basically
still
voting
vote,
on
get-
what we just voted on.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way to say it. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
You're correct.
Thank you.
The original
Oh,
vote.
so-
I mean, that's what I said.
So the
Yeah.
same thing we're just voting on.
I got it.
Yeah.
Original vote was to amend, second
Yes.
vote is to.
I'll
keep it as
push
simple as
forward.
I got it.
Councilwoman McManaman,
Aye.
Councilman Schubsta,
No.
Councilman Anders,
No.
Councilman Barrett,
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner,
Aye.
Councilman Laborg, no. So there are 4 yeses, 3 nos, and it's the same 3, Schubsta,
Okay.
Anders,
I don't know why
and
they say
Laborg.
government's confusing.
All right. That was something new, but we got through it.
Poor Boy Scout.
But it was important that we did it now so that we didn't have to do a third vote on it and another advertisement.
Just remember
So-
this when we do the minutes, okay? Like,
It's simple.
we're gonna do our best in trying to figure that out.
It's simple.
Just put the motions down, you're good there.
I wanna replay this on the video.
All right, we have one more ordinance, ordinance 1174, an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 18, Part 3 of the Code of the Borough of Emmaus to adopt ordinance 15346 of the City of Allentown dated February 1st, 2017, relating to sewage and industrial waste discharge into the borough-owned, publicly owned treatment works subject to certain revisions, additions, and exceptions. I will turn this over to Chairman Shipsta. Once again, there is a little, under actions, and this brief description of what this actually is.
Yeah, I mean, we've adopted this before. I mean, basically, we're just adopting it again with some changes to meet some of the changes that the city of Allentown made to their ordinance.
So we're
So
updating.
basically, we're just they made some changes to the standards and requirements for EPA and DEP. So
Just
we're
an update.
We're just updating it, yep.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right, is there a motion to approve ordinance 1174? Councilman DeFrain, seconded by Councilman Schubsta. Any questions or discussion on this? All right. Roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman.
Aye.
Councilman Schubsta.
Aye.
Councilman Anders.
Aye.
Councilman Barrett.
Aye.
Councilman DeFrain.
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner.
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg. Aye. There are 7 ayes. All right.
We can get that one.
Okay, so there's no unfinished business, part 2. Does anybody have anything to bring forward? Items not on the agenda? Hearing none, mayor's report.
Thank you. Just one item for this evening. Tomorrow night, Chief Palmer and I will be serving dinner to our senior citizens at the High Rise at 333 Ridge Street.
Oh, that's nice.
I know Councilwoman McManaman will also be there, so if
Nice.
anyone else wants to attend, you're more than welcome to come. 6 o'clock. They start bingo at 4:30. So it's bingo and dinner, and we'll be serving the dinner, so.
Nice.
Mr. Barrett,
What initiated that?
this comes from Chief Palmer.
I figured it would. That's
Yeah,
great.
Community outreach.
Outreach,
That's
yeah.
great.
Nice.
That's all I have. Progress.
Thank you. Committee reports, Public Works/Highway, Water and Sewer. Chairman Anders.
Nothing for official action this evening. Next meeting is April 9th at 3:30. Progress.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes. Chairman Schubsta. We did a lot of yours
We
already.
did a lot of my stuff. Yay, thank you very much. And we learned a lot. The, the only thing we have in your notes here, you'll see that we had some discussion in regards to the deadline of July 1st for our hauler for trash.
Okay.
In the committee, we talked about the opportunity to go out and get new bid specifications for trash hauling. So we unanimously voted to officially notify J.P. Mascaro that the borough intends to bid out services for refuse and recycling for 2019.
There's a motion by Councilman Schubsta. Is there a second? Councilman Anders. So basically, this is just a notice not to renew our contract, and we're going out.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, it just comes down to, we could probably, we've had the contract now, I think, for 4 years, right? We renewed it once last year, so I think it's time that we kind of modify the bid specs and go out and see what we can, what kind of bids we get brought in.
I believe if we didn't have issues, we would still be with them, but that's not the case, so we're going with our options.
Yeah, I mean, we have some issues, but I think I think it comes down to also that we can probably have an opportunity to get better service maybe with
Yep.
different types of,
More enhanced services.
yeah, a little
I
bit
mean,
more,
The times have changed a little bit is what we're being told as far as some offerings that haulers can give at more affordable prices than what they previously could have put out. So,
Yep.
So you made the motion?
Yep.
Councilman Schubsta, second?
I thought I did, but.
Did you do it already?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say that I read the 24 pages under the tab there. Was it there or under?
under notes, I think.
Under the notes, I read, there was 24 pages about the different bid specs and stuff. It's very interesting. There's a lot of things that are in there that we haven't done in the past, so it's worth reading. But also the committee has their work cut out because they have to kind of narrow that down and simplify it that it's not so complicated that it messes up the bid or somebody doesn't bid because they misunderstand what
Well-
they think it is.
Oh, I agree.
And if you remember 2014,
Oh, Jay.
our solicitor will be very much involved in writing the specs this time around.
Okay.
And they'll be simplified a little. They were a little complicated last time.
Just a comment, and I truly believe this, that our public also wants us to do this, and that we should do this for the public. I think we've heard them, and just to at least listen to them, even as we're going through our bid specs and what they may be looking for from us as well.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
And I have nothing else for official action, so I'll report progress, and our next meeting is scheduled for April 25th at 4:30 PM.
Thank you, Chairman Schupsta. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
There are meeting notes attached from the meeting we held just previous to our last council meeting, so you can see that there, but we did address that already at last council meeting. Our next meeting for Parks and Rec is tomorrow, April 3rd at 4:30. Progress.
Thank you, Chairwoman Baumgartner. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Dufresne.
Nothing for official action. Our next meeting is April 10th at 3 PM. I'll report progress.
Thank you. General Administration Committee, Chairman Ladenburg. We have not met since the last meeting. Our next meeting is April 12th. We will
All day.
have probably a 4 to 5 hour meeting, and it might set a record for us.
Yeah, we're going into, what, 4 o'clock?
But we will take care of a lot of things that need to be taken care of. So April 12th, 9 a.m. here in council chambers, I report progress. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Barrett.
We have one item for official action, and that is Resolution 2018-16, and I will place that in the form of a motion. That's our bill list.
There's a motion to pass the bill list by Councilman Barrett. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne, questions on the bill list? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
And there are no other items that require official action. Progress.
Thank you, Chairman Barrett. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Nothing to report since our last meeting. Our next meeting is April 19th. I'll report progress.
Thank you very much. You have 3 sets of minutes under boards and commissions. Personal Appeals Part 2, does anybody have an appeal? Hearing none. Borough Manager's Report.
So significant revenue and expense items for March are in your iPads. Also, again, per ordinance, I am informing you that I hired Weston Kloiber from Mertztown as a summer park seasonal employee at $7.25 per hour. All of the rest of our summer parks kids are returning.
That's great.
So we have a full staff already for summer parks. Now we still need lifeguards and concession stand attendees, but particularly lifeguards. But summer parks, I'll figure it out. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, progress.
Dave, just one question for you.
Yes, sir.
I see snow removal, salt, anti-skid, and of course, today we had snow. How are we, I know I thought we purchased pretty much all the salt we could for the year.
Yeah, we've maxed out the contract.
So, hopefully there's nothing else that we're gonna be needing it for.
We're good for maybe 1 or 2 more. But
Days are getting longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let it know.
we could have today.
I know.
Okay, I was just
Pretty much
kinda
did.
curious there, that's all.
Yeah, we're okay, but
Okay.
we're hoping. I mean, normally, the problem was again, you get 3 inches of snow, you spend 40 tons of salt.
Right.
Because you have to go out and salt the road. So, we had that 1 12-inch snow that melted literally the next day, which was great. But outside of that, it was salt all went along. It was just that annoying little bit of snow that we had to spend 40 tons of salt on. And if you don't, especially for how cold it was this winter, if you don't, it's going to pack down and turn into ice.
And that doesn't go on a, calendar year basis, correct, the purchasing? So
it
if we need
does.
stuff in November, December?
Yeah,
we'll
the
be
contract is for the winter of.
Okay.
So we just filled out our salt request for the winter of next year, the end of this year.
Okay.
So I think we went through, I think our contract is for 550 tons, and you can spend up to 33% over that, and we hit that. So that's
Yeah.
that's a lot of salt.
Anybody else?
So
Councilman
for
Dufresne?
next week's bank meetings, do we get the bids before that meeting, or do we just look at it all at the same time as we're interviewing?
I'm sorry, for what?
The bank meetings next week,
You'll get all of it ahead of time.
ahead of time, okay.
Yeah, you have a lot to deal with at that meeting.
Well, that's why would rather not get it the night before. I'm not sure I'll have enough time to read it.
Well, you know, if
That's
you would have
where
shown up today instead of calling in at 6 o'clock. No, I'm just kidding. You'll get that information.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll get that information.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Anything else from you?
No.
All right, President's business, I have nothing. Progress. Motion to adjourn. Councilman Barrett, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Meeting adjourned at 7:35.